Some people don't love halfway. They love deeply, completely, without keeping score. They listen when no one else will. They have a memory for minute particulars that others overlook. They stay, even when it hurts. And yet, it is they who often receive the least. If that sounds familiar, it's no coincidence. There's a psychology behind it. People who love deeply usually learned very early in life. That love had to be earned. Perhaps affection was not shown consistently. Perhaps emotional security was linked to being useful, understanding, silent, or strong. So, they adapted. They aged emotionally beyond their actual age. They learned how to read moods. They learned to give more than they asked for. Not because they were weak, but because connection became survival. At the same time, this wiring develops over time. They love by giving, by showing up, by forgiving quickly, by understanding. But here's the hard truth most people never tell them. Deep lovers often draw the attention of shallow lovers. Not because shallow people are bad, but only because deep love feels comfortable to those who don't have a corresponding desire to put that back in. When you give without limits, people subconsciously assume you don't have limits. And when you don't ask for much, people assume you don't need much. The psychology of human beings is also based on the principle that what has boundaries? What can be lost? Deep lovers do not often use threats to end a relationship. They explain. They wait. They hope. So their presence becomes predictable. And predictability, sad to say, is not always properly. Another reality most won't admit. Those individuals who are deeply devoted love to sacrifice. They know all people's pain. They excuse bad behavior. They carry emotional burden that isn't their own. They tell themselves that it is, they didn't mean it. They're just broken. They'll change one day. But while they're busy understanding others, their own emotional needs remain unfulfilled. This causes emotional imbalance. One person pours. The other receives. And slowly, without realizing it, deep lovers teach people how to treat them properly. Not through words, but through tolerance. This phenomenon is called overaccommodation. When you always downplay your needs to keep the relationship flowing, the brain learns. If I give more, I'll be loved. On the contrary, love is not a transaction. Here's the painful part. Deep lovers are not undervalued. They lack reciprocity filter. They don't ask, is this person capable of loving me the way I love them? They ask, how can I love them better? And that very same question is what has produced years of emotional exhaustion. Another deep truth, individuals who have deep feelings often experience loneliness in relationships than they do alone. Originally, loneliness wasn't defined by a lack of people, it's about absence of being seen. You can sit next to someone every day and yet still feel emotionally invisible. And deep lovers feel this invisibility intensely because their emotional range is wide. They feel everything. Yet they stay. Why? Because the deep lovers fear that asking for more will make them too much. So they shrink. They mute their needs. They temper their disappointment. They smile even in neglect. But here's what psychology clearly shows. The trouble was never that you loved me so much. The problem is that you loved without any boundaries. In environments that rewarded emotional neglect. Why deep love is not the flaw. Lack of emotional matching is. When deep lovers at last transform, it's never loud. They don't announce it. They don't argue. They don't beg. They simply stop pouring. Because, you see, at that single moment, things make most people. Because suddenly, You've changed. You're distant. You're not the same. However, in reality, they just stopped abandoning themselves. And here's the final truth most people realize too late: deep love, given to the right person, always creates a mirror-like reaction. Doesn't drain you. It makes you stronger. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels safe. So if you are someone who loves deeply but receives less, this is not a sign to love less. It's a sign to love selectively. To stop chasing emotional crumbs. To stop proving your worth by your sacrifice. To cease designating imbalance as connection. Because real connections never make you feel small. It does not require you to limit your requirements to survive. It doesn't demand that you continually explain your need for care. The right people won't be overwhelmed by your depth. They won't call you too sensitive. Or say that you expect too much. Or make you feel guilty for wanting basic emotional presence. They'll meet you where you are. They'll notice when you go quiet. They will sense that something is wrong. They won't need reminders to show up because they want to. And this is something deep lovers slowly learn, often after years of pain. Love is not measured by how much you can endure. It is measured by how safe you feel being yourself. You are not meant to do these things by yourself. You were never meant to be the only one trying. And besides, you were never meant to beg for emotional reciprocation. Psychology offers us an insight: lovers who love intensely often confuse loyalty with endurance. They stay longer than they should. They believe that, no matter what, someone will eventually notice and. But efforts that are not met with a reaction do not convert to love. It manifests as exhaustion. And exhaustion changes people. Not because they become cold. But because they finally become honest with themselves. They know that loving deeply is not about accepting less. This is not to say that empathy means erasing oneself. Therefore, that giving endlessly does not keep anyone. So they begin to choose differently. They stop over-explaining. They stop competing for places they do not value. And when they walk away, it's not out of anger. It's out of clarity. Because deep love, when given to the right person, does not drain you. It grounds you. It calms you. And the moment you feel such kind of love, you understand something important: you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong people. Deep love was never meant to be wasted on those who only know how to take. It was meant to be shared with those who know how to give back, without being asked. Built in silence.